Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Steve Perry News. I've seen a lot of responses about the Steve Perry and Dolly Parton duet, Open Arms, that was just released. Great song, I believe. But a lot of people, Steve Perry fans, on his pages, Facebook, here on YouTube, I've seen a lot of negative comments about the song. I've read on Steve Perry's page, it stinks. It sucks. I've seen Dolly Parton is a hillbilly. She sounds like she's stuck in helium. She can't sing. She's too loud. She's drowning out Steve. You can't hear Steve. I want to hear more Steve, less Dolly. Let me say this, though. Dolly, great singer. Country music, maybe an acquired taste. If you grew up not listening to country, you're probably not going to like country. You're going to be more, judgmental. I grew up listening to all kinds of music, so I like all kinds. Steve did too. And that's why Steve got Dolly. She's probably the number one singer, like, in the world. I'm just saying. Everybody loves her. Is she the best singer ever? No, I don't think so. But she's got a unique voice, and she's lovable. And it does sound good to me. She's got some great songs. But let me tell you some things here. Steve, he has an ear for music, and he's not going to do something unless it's the way he wants to do it. Now, if you don't believe that, look how many times he's done a duet with somebody. Kenny Loggins? Right, about 40 years ago? I'm just saying, he doesn't do it often. When's the last time he's been on stage? The Eels got him to sing. Nobody else until now. That was 9 years ago. So it had to be somebody important to Steve, somebody special that he admires, that he appreciates. When Dolly recorded this demo, he said she sang her butt off, and he was amazed. And then you think about the guy that mixed it, this Chris Lord Algie. You see this picture here? Remember when he did that? And everybody was excited for like a year when they said that Steve is going to have a new song available, a new duet. Everybody was excited that he was doing duets. They wanted to hear that. So they waited a year for this song to be released. And then when it was released, a lot of them, with the negative comments. Steve mixed it with Chris, though, the way he wanted it. They sat there, did the final mixes. That means Dolly was nowhere around. It was Steve doing the final mixes. Steve wanted his voice to be in the background. Steve wanted his voice not to stand out as much as Dolly's. Steve did all the mixes on that. He had to say so. Remember, he had to say so on The Sopranos with Don't Stop Believing? He didn't want it to be done just any old way. Well, he doesn't want a song to be done just any old way, because I believe he's a perfectionist when it comes to music like that. So he makes a big deal, and he gets the right people and the right sound guys and mixes. He's in charge of a lot of stuff and wants to make sure that it sounds up to par and to his quality. It meets the standards. So he does all that, right? And then people criticize. Now, they criticize on his page. So they're criticizing Steve. I know you have a right to say you don't like the song. I get that. But I'm just throwing it out there that this was Steve's idea. It was his mix. It was his version, that the way he saw fit, that he wanted to do it. Because if you notice, every time he helps somebody, whether it's, like Trev Lukather or somebody, with that band he was in, or maybe the High Kings, he's not standing out so big because it's their album. And he's doing Dolly's album. So she's going to stand out. She's not rock and roll. I've heard people make fun. She's not rock and roll. She never said she was. They kind of got her caught in that little, predicament. Whenever they inducted her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it wasn't her idea. She wasn't even going to do it. She was not going to be a part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then it's like she had to. So if she had to do that, she had to be inducted. She was going to show them by doing a rock and roll album. Was it silly? Maybe she was just getting back at them for inducting her. I mean, but that's it though. But Dolly's a very talented lady. And for her to pick Steve whenever she was doing an interview, she was talking about Steve with Eddie Trunk. She said that Steve was the first one she mentioned about picking people above all those people because of his voice. I'm just saying. So she picked Steve above all those people. And then Steve thought of her. He has declined so many people. So many. For years. And suddenly he says yes to this woman. There's got to be a reason. And for him to have the say-so on the final mixes just shows you how important he is, how important she is. And Dolly is so huge worldwide. Steve knows that. It helps both of them out. It gets them the exposure. And it's a great duet. I think if you listen closely, you can hear Steve in the background vocals. It's more than him just singing. It's the background, and Dolly too. The mix is there. Pay close attention. Really listen to that thing. Maybe get some headphones or something. But Steve is exactly where he wants to be. The mix, exactly what he wanted. So I think if anybody has any more complaints, they need to take it up with Steve. Because that's exactly what he wanted. The song was done the way he wanted. Oh, yeah, and while I'm thinking about it, some people were talking about his voice. I've seen some people, and especially newer fans, but they expect to hear Steve like he was back in 1981. Those days are gone. But, Steve was singing this song to fit Dolly's voice because they both have high-pitched voices and they sing in higher keys. Now, Dolly felt comfortable, I'm sure, with the key of E, which the song is in, originally done in the key of D. So Steve had to sing lower. And now I've heard Steve sing on Traces and the Christmas songs. You hear him going to town with a high-pitched voice. And it's just been a few years ago. So for somebody to say his voice is gone, he can't sing anymore. He's singing low. It's shot. I've heard all that too. And I'm like, he's singing to fit her voice. For the harmonies will be there. If he's singing his, higher voice, it wouldn't sound right. So he worked on that with the engineer, like I said, to make sure it sounded right. He wanted it to sound just right. If you listen to those harmonies, that's perfect. And he knows how to sing. He knows how to mix. So once again, you got to take it up with Steve. Because if you don't like this, Steve, he mixed it the way he thought sounded the best. And he sang the way he thought fit the song. So there you go. Just want to throw that at you, I mean, you have your opinion not to like songs. I get it. But just want to remind you of all those things. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And whatever you do, don't stop believing. God bless you.